Good evening, everyone. It is 6:45, time to start the committee meeting for Community Services, Public Safety, Housing and Development. And Madam Clerk, if we can have a roll call and posting of the agenda, please.
Member Zaragoza,
Here.
Member Madrigal,
Here.
Chair McDonald.
Here.
The agenda for this meeting was posted on the City Hall Bulletin Board on April 19th, 2022.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll now move to public comments on items not on the agenda.
The flag, you're gonna salute the flag.
I thought we were going to do that next. Okay, we'll do the flag salute.
The flag.
Oh, roll call and flags. My apologies. Old and senile. Please stand and face the flag and join me in saluting the flag of our nation. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if we can observe a moment of silence for the folks over in Ukraine. Thank you all. Okay, now we'll go back to public comments on items not on the agenda. This would be the time for people to speak on items under the purview of this committee, but not listed on the agenda. If you choose to speak, you would have 3 minutes, and understand that we cannot engage in any discussion or anything else other than refer the matter to staff or ask it to come back for a future committee meeting. Madam Clerk, do we have any speakers for items not on the agenda?
Chair, we do not have any speakers for items not on the agenda. However, we do have one speaker for item D1.
I have Margarita H. de Encontrias
Yes,
for
sir.
that one. So when we get to that, we will call her. Okay, that takes us to item C1, the agenda, consent agenda. The only item on consent agenda is approval of the minutes. Have the committee members had a chance to look at the minutes from the last meeting? What's the pleasure of the committee?
Move to approve.
Second.
Madam Clerk, we have a motion and a second. Maybe you'll use the voting pad, please.
Motion passes 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That takes us to item D1, reports. First one is from the Housing Department. Adoption of the annual action plan for fiscal year 2022-23 and amending the annual action plan for fiscal years 2021 to 22 and 2020 to 21. And the recommendation is that the Community Services, Public Safety and Housing and Development Committee recommend that the City Council review this item, and there are, I believe, 7 recommended actions. So I'm not going to read all of them. They're pretty lengthy. And pursuant to Measure M, there was a pre-recorded presentation on our YouTube channel. And so now would be the time if the committee has any questions for our Housing Director, Mr. Ramirez, to refer them to, well, actually, Madam Clerk, let me go with the speaker first and get her comments, then we will deliberate.
Margarita, if you could please unmute by pressing *6. Hi,
Good
Margarita.
evening. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Hi, good
Please
evening.
go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman McDonald and Council Member Madrigal. My name is Margarita Hernandez Escontrillas, and I'm the CEO of Cabrillo Economic Development Corporation. First off, I would like to thank you for your public service and for your work in addressing the affordable housing crisis that we in California must endure, and specifically in our neighborhoods right here in Oxnard. I especially want to call out your vision and work that you've done to establish the Navigation Center. And it's a huge expression, not only by you as our leaders, but staff and council. I'm here today to provide some comments regarding the 2021 Annual Action Plan amendments and the Annual Action Plan draft. As you know, each year the city submits this application to HUD, and it's part of the consolidated plan must sign certifications related to this document, as well as the acceptance of federal entitlement dollars that come into the city of Oxnard, which in this case is over 3.5 million. One of the certifications relates to the compliance with anti-discrimination laws in conformity with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, which is commonly known as the Fair Housing Act, and implementing regulations to affirmatively further fair housing. As a jurisdiction, the city conducted its analysis of impediments to fair housing choice, and we refer it as AI, which examines policies, procedures, and even practices that our community exercises that could possibly limit a person's ability to choose their own residence free from discrimination. I'm calling your attention to this, as I noted, because in your annual action plan, you cited that the city's #1 goal is to improve the supply of affordable housing. And your 4th goal, as you outline, is to work to end homelessness. To this end, I would like to ask the committee why you have not authorized or otherwise directed staff to release NOFAs for Section 8 vouchers or for VASH vouchers. I think it's imperative for the council to act on this, as we are losing scarce financial resources to close financial gaps, to build affordable housing for veterans, farm workers, families, and those at
20
risk of
seconds.
homelessness. With this, I know we have over 3,000 people on the Section 8 waiting list. We have submitted applications for financing, and I implore you to work with us to build affordable housing for those most vulnerable in our communities, which also includes our homeless, farm workers, homeless elderly, homeless veterans, and even more importantly, our homeless
Your time is
children.
up.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Mr. Ramirez, I don't know if you have any response to any of those comments at this point, or?
That particular item is going to be presented to committee in the next meeting, May 10th.
Okay. Thank you very much. Do the committee members have any questions for Mr. Ramirez?
Yeah, Emilio, on the CDBG funding, how do we, the individuals, agencies get interviewed by a committee, or how do we do that? You know, because we have, for the caregivers and Oxford Recreation and Columbia Memorial and so forth. How do we allocate those funds? Are they interviewed, or they submit requests, or how is that done?
Thank you, sir. The Emilio Ramirez Housing Director, that process is actually fairly extensive. We do what HUD calls a citizen participation process, where we invite the community to participate in our process to identify the objectives, goals of the use of funds. We then invite applications to be submitted. We vet those applications for eligibility criteria, just to make sure that they comply with the use of monies, the regulations. We have a committee, an internal committee of staff. I sit on that committee, and we identify which projects can be funded at a rate that would provide the highest need and the highest opportunity to use the monies in the most efficient way. And then we propose that to you guys. So that is how we identify the use of funds.
Yeah, because I noticed that some agencies didn't get any money at all this time. They requested X dollars, and then with zero, like, for example, the Oxnard Public Works Camino del Sol Community Garden expansion, and the Oxnard Residential Rehab underwriting, and so forth, that no funding at all for those folks. Is that?
The Oxnard Residential Rehab Program was not funded because we had just undergone a regulatory monitoring by HUD, wherein they indicated to us that funding the staff that would do that residential rehab was not an eligible use of funds. We did fund the actual program at
Mhm.
$300,000, but the staff is not being funded, and those
Okay.
sources are being funded through another source. The parks, we did fund a project
Mhm.
at 954,000, I believe, as opposed to the three projects which we didn't have enough funding for. They were asking for approximately $1.5 million, and we didn't have $1.5 million to allocate. We spoke to the Public Works Department and asked for their help in trying to allocate that 954 that we had available for those kinds of projects. And they decided to resubmit the application for that 954 as presented to you today.
Thank you. And also the Home Investment Partnership Program, how does that work?
Home is a program that is used for the production of affordable housing, and primarily it's used to build affordable housing, although we do use parts of it for a down payment assistance program. But the primary use of it is to build or construct new affordable multifamily developments.
And people have to qualify, individuals have to qualify for that home to some
They-
degree.
For the down payment assistance program, the person has to be a low income buyer, has to be a first time buyer. And they have to agree to use the residence as their principal residence and et cetera. For the development of housing, it's a affordable housing developer that will agree to produce housing per the requirements and then to use them for that affordable housing condition for a period of not less than 20 years.
And Emilio, do they have to live in a home for a certain amount of time? If they
For the
get
first time
this?
home buyer, they do have to live in the home for a period of not, for a period, depending on the other sources of funds. Sometimes we use Cal Home, which is a state source of money. So they range between 15 years and 55 years.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Member Madrigal, any questions for Mr. Ramirez?
Oh, yes, on slide 4, 5, and 10 of the presentation. I don't know if this is just on the thing that's provided online, but it's literally cut off, so you can't see some of the proposals and what's being cut. For example, on slide 4, it says Oxnard Cultural and Community, and then I don't know what else it's saying, and then there's no dollar amount or anything. Slide 5, Oxnard Housing, and then gets cut off, but it says 98,051, and then $0 will be recommended to them. And then slide 10, it's a little bit better, but it's just some of the logos are on top of the dollar amounts.
I see that. First of all,
Mhm.
my apologies, Councilman. Let's see. The slide 10 is the total of the Emergency Solutions Grant, which is one of the 3 grants that's part of the action plan. And the total on the first column, which is the amount requested, is 361,824. And the amount being funded is 219,551. So that math adds up there. That 219,551 is an estimate still. We do not yet have the final allocation from HUD. So we are basing it on an estimate from last year. The last column on page 5, we are proposing to not fund the Oxnard Housing Department. This is the staff allocation that the mayor just
Okay.
asked about. And so we are proposing to not fund it, although we are funding the first item on page 6, which is the rehabilitation loan program at $300,000. But the staff itself is not being funded, and that's what's reflected as 0 at the bottom of page 5.
Mhm.
At the bottom of page 4.
Emilio, just one moment. Sorry, on page 5, council member, that's also specific to the fair housing program. Just reading the one that's off of here on bottom of slide 5. Or are you looking at a different one? I want to make sure we're giving him the same information.
I'm looking at
It says
page 5.
it says housing 98,000 and 0.
Yeah, so that was specific to fair housing and the full PowerPoint.
And then at the bottom of page 4, It is a,
And the
Which
full
one is it?
PowerPoint that
The
says
Creative Youth?
Palm Vista Senior Center, 60,000 where we were funding. Is that where you were questioning, council member? On the
Oh,
bottom of slide 4 that's cut off?
Well, I can't read it. It's cut off, so I don't know.
So
Memorial.
what it says on the full one is the last one that's cut off where it starts with Oxnard Cultural and Community. The next line says Services Palm Vista Senior Center. They requested 60,000 and we're recommending 60,000.
Yeah, we don't have. we
There's
don't
a,
have that.
there's a 0 there on page 4. Actually, never mind. I'm so sorry. There's nothing there. So you're right. I'm sorry. Oh, and then last question, on slide 8, for CDBG total, requested is about $4.4 million. The estimate that is being recommended is 2.6 million. That 1.8 million is for whatever reason does not qualify under CDBG regulations, or it may be used at a different time, or we're only going to use the 2.6 million for the upcoming fiscal year.
Are you asking why we didn't fund the full 4.8, 4.4?
No, I'm just saying, like, what do we do with the savings of the 1.8 million?
The difference between the 4.4 and the 2.6?
No, I know, no, yeah, I'm saying the savings. Is there because it doesn't cover CDBG guidelines? Is it because we may use it later, or we're just not going to use it at all?
The difference is,
The difference, yeah.
the difference, yeah. What is requested and then what is recommended?
So
right?
we were,
The-
it was
the requested-
oversubscribed in that sense that they asked for more. We had more asked than we can afford.
Mhm.
So just make sure that we're on the same page. So on slide 8, it's saying that out of everything that was asked for, there was 4.4 million of things asked for, and we're funding 2.6 because that's the allocation and the
that-
available funding that we will have. We can only afford 2.6 worth
That's
of
fine.
projects.
Correct. Is
Thank
that
you.
the question? Yeah.
And that's an estimate, right?
Again,
Sure.
because we don't
Okay.
know the allocation yet. So we're estimating that the allocation is going to be 2.615 million.
Hey, the only question I have is the speaker made reference to the NOFA, which I'm going to surmise is probably the notice of a funding allocation. Do we do that, or does HUD do that, or do both of us do it in terms of letting people know the funds are out there?
We do that. That's part of the citizen participation process. So we announce that there is funding available and we invite applications. And the applications that come in from the various applicants are in response to that request.
Okay, thank you very much. And the entire process is pretty well regulated by HUD, correct?
It's dictated. The entire thing says you must do exactly this thing.
Okay, I was trying to be polite and politically correct, but
Mhm.
dictated is okay, so.
Yeah.
Any additional questions for Mr. Ramirez?
No, none, not for
Okay,
me.
we have 7 recommendations. What's the pleasure of the committee?
Move approval.
Second.
Madam Clerk, we have a motion by Mayor Zaragoza, second by Member Madrigal. If you would vote, please.
Thank you. Motion passes 3-0.
Okay, thank you very much. And we'll move on to part 2 of the Emilio Ramirez show tonight. It's the Housing Department. Subject is the Oxnard Housing Authority Education Scholarship Program. And the recommendation, I'll read this one because it's only one, that the Community Services, Public Safety, Housing and Development Committee support and recommend that the Board of Commissioners approve the Oxnard Housing Authority's new privately funded education scholarship program benefiting Section 8 participants and public housing tenants. And Mr. Ramirez, any additional comments on that before we open it for deliberation? Oh, I'm sorry. Pursuant to Measure M, this was pre-recorded on the YouTube channel for people to view the presentation. We won't repeat the presentation here.
A couple of things, if you may. First, for the sake of complete disclosure, not that it's of any significance at all. One of the 4 sponsors that you see in the staff report is my private company. Ramirez y Ramirez is my development company that I own. So that's one thing. The program is new, and it was a idea that came forth from the tenants of the public housing. And so we are launching it in an effort to have applications start to come in within the next couple of months, and in an effort to deliver checks to the students before they start the school year this coming fall, so in August.
Okay. And I think I heard you say that one of the companies supporting this was your private company, is that?
One of the sponsors that's listed on the staff report is my personal company.
Okay, and I'm presuming that we ran that through our legal staff just to make sure.
I
that-
did talk to the city attorney's office, and for as long as it's clear and I didn't get any personal benefit, which I'm not, I just want to make sure that it's,
Okay, I'm fine with it. I just want to make sure that
Yeah.
legal had a chance to look at it and they're comfortable with it. So committee members, you have any questions for Mr. Ramirez?
One question. On it, I saw all the requirements. There's an essay involved. What would the essay entail?
what would it entail? So we're asking the applicant, if the student that would apply for the scholarship, to provide an essay on what their career ambition is.
Thank you.
Yeah,
So you got 3 scholarships you're going to give out to 3 individuals.
We are targeting 3 $1,500 scholarships plus the cost of the event that has been donated by one of the sponsors, Chingon Bakery,
She's going back.
to host the event, which we will then make sure to invite all of you, the mayor, the council, the sponsors for that event.
And I understand that Ventura County Credit Union is putting up, somebody's putting up 3,000. I can't remember which it is. Is that
The
the
Ventura County Credit Union is sponsoring at 3,000, Montecito Bank and Trust at
15.
1,500. Chingon Bakery is going to sponsor the cost of the event, and then Ramirez y Ramirez at 1,500.
and also the promotion towards the end?
Right.
Chingon's going to be doing that. It's going to do the unveiling of the winners. Is that it at the end?
That's going to happen at an event at the bakery, at the
Right.
restaurant at the bakery.
And I think this is great, because the individual, either boy or girl has to be in the community college or a 4-year university, and also has to live in the housing authority.
They have to be a Section 8 participant or a public housing.
Or public
resident.
housing, Section 8,
Yes.
both. And also has to have a C plus,
2.5.
2.5, I think is a C plus, right?
No.
No, is it more than that?
No, it's between a C and a C plus. It's not a C plus now.
Oh,
It's a C.
Okay, so this is good. I think this is good, and like the council member said, the NSA is really important. I think this is absolutely great. It can really help individuals that need the help going to college and.
It is, I should mention something that we are pretty proud of. Number one, just starting the program. It's just launching the program for the first time. But it's also completely privately funded, so there is no public money in the
Exactly.
effort at all.
And I think this is going to be a role model for the future for, people are probably going to be donating to this program
I'm hoping that the sponsors will commit annually or that we can raise more.
even more so, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
thank you. And Madam Clerk, I forgot to ask if we had any call-in speakers or any other speakers.
We do not have any public speakers on this item. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. What's the pleasure of the committee?
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Mhm.
If we could vote, please.
Thank you. Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you very much. That takes us to item E, items for future agendas. Do either of the committee members have items for future agendas?
No.
Mayor? No, I have none. That takes us to item F, adjournment. We will stand adjourned at 7:08. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.